Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It is 19 after 9 o'clock. This is the second hour of news and views on Salam Media. And of course, the international story that's been making headlines is the supposed Ceuta migration crisis. We are going to be talking with a researcher and Spanish activist, and that, of course, is you. Marta Garrich. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. A very good morning to you. Welcome.
Hi, good morning, Julie. Thank you. It's Garrich. In fact, we do the roll R.
Garrich. Okay, there you go. Are you the author of this piece that Al Jazeera has actually talked about on their news channel? Or are you an independent researcher responding to what has been making the headlines?
I'm an independent researcher. I'm not no author of recent piece.
Okay, so let's ask you the all-important question. The opinion piece that we're referring to argues that Spain's recent political and diplomatic challenges may not be isolated events, but could be linked to increasingly outspoken foreign policy, particularly its criticism of Israel's genocide in Gaza and its support for Palestinian statehood. The author presents this as an opinion and raises questions rather than claiming definitive proof. Now, as a feminist organizer and researcher, how do you respond to that opening remarks by the writer of that piece?
I think it's undeniable that the current crisis is happened in a particular geopolitical context, one that certainly is being used by different actors for different reasons, and one that clearly has come through both positionings from political figures in the States, in the United States, or in Israel. Politics is one of using this opportunity to undermine Pedro Sanchez and its government legitimacy, and also position in European and worldwide and world politics. But I think my main point is to say that it's not a new, something that hasn't happened before, and I think maybe if I can give you a bit of an insight of Ceuta and its position both in geopolitics and in history, recent history, and an insight into a crisis, an episode of where migration has been at the headlines. It's now 2026, but we've had episodes in the past that I've explained through a complex background and not just one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before you start and give me that, and I think it's very important to give us that context for us to understand exactly what's going on. And we look at the situation of Ceuta, the supposedly entitled the migration crisis. I don't actually think it is, but you're going to correct us there. We also know Morocco's role in this whole saga. We do know that Morocco has signed, is one of the signatories of the Abraham Accords, and we also know that they are great friends of Israel, even though Morocco is majority Muslim populated. So give us your context and we can go further with this discussion. Over to you.
Thank you. Okay, so just for the listeners to picture what Ceuta is, right? So Ceuta is a very small Spanish city situated in Moroccan or rather African mainland, right? It's roughly 20 square kilometers wide, and it's got a 85,000 population, and that's important. I think, as we know, that it's between 40,000 and 60,000 migrants who tried to reach Ceuta swimming through the breakwaters. It's Ceuta along Melilla, another city, Spanish city, down 400 kilometers down the coast. are part of the Spanish state and are the only so-called European enclaves in African mainland. They are there because of historical reasons, and surely, if we look into imperial history and how it reflects in today's world politics, right?
Mhm.
They were Portugal, part of the Portugal kingdom, and in the early 13th century. Then they become Spanish with the Treaty of Lisbon in the 17th century. Um, why this is relevant? Because since then it's been disputed territory between Morocco and Spain. Spain argues that historically, these cities are have always been Spanish, because of and it's an enclave. If you look into a map, it sits at the entry or the exit of the Mediterranean Sea, where thousands of commercial vessels, exit into the Atlantic Ocean, enter into the Mediterranean space. And interestingly enough, it's a small peninsula, and then you have at the bottom, so to speak, on the southern part, there's Ceuta, which is Spanish controlled in what is otherwise mainly Moroccan territory. And in the north, there's a small peninsula as well, which is Gibraltar, which, as you recall, it's also disputed territory. This time is British, in Spain, in Spain's mainland. So
Absolutely.
that's the framework in which this happens. Now, there's two other elements that are important, and one is another disputed territory, which is Western Sahara, which in 1975, until 1975, is part of Spain, and then Spain withdraws. And since then, as we know, Morocco occupies the territory. In Spain, since then, played quite neutral politics, right? In that sense, not recognizing Morocco's sovereignty over Western Sahara, and also implicitly and supporting or trying to unlock the situation.
And can I just come in there, please, if you don't mind, Marta?
Yeah,
Obviously, that is in the Sahel region, and the people in that area are wanting independence. Morocco's trying to take control of the Sahel, but the people are resisting, and they want their independence. So please carry on. I just needed to clarify that as well.
of course, and the United Nations are recognizing that status and holding on until a referendum is possible for this to happen. Why am I saying that? Several things, because we've had several episodes before where migration has been weaponized. So that's the view of several analysts. But also, certainly, it is a one border of when in the 1990s. Now we have the Schengen Treaty, and therefore the internal borders in Europe, so-called, disappear. No, then the external borders become the main borders between to access the Schengen states, and those are fortified, and security now becomes an integral part of the European Union's politics. And that also changes and impacts on the relationship with border states, one being Morocco. So since then, we've had in 2005 also around 200 migrants in 48 hours, 24 hours trying to access those very fortified borders of Ceuta and Melilla, coming mostly from sub-Saharan Africa, where also we had several migrants losing their lives. And then again in 2014, there was the Tarajal tragedy, where also hundreds of migrants and minors attempted to, like we've seen nowadays, swim across the breakwaters, and also several lost their lives. That marks also the beginning of two things: hot returns, which is Spain. By that, there's an attempt to return migrants who have accessed territory, Ceuta, and undocumented, between 48 hours, without asylum policies applying to them. And that's something that is really contested in Spain as well, in terms of, especially of where minors have crossed those borders. And then we have markedly, and that's why it's important that we speak of Western Sahara. In 2021, we had 10,000 migrants also crossing via also swimming into the waters. into Ceuta, and that follows. Remember, that's 2021. We're in the context of COVID, and that was in May, and in April, the leader of the Polisario Front, Brahim Ghali, had been admitted in Spain to be treated for COVID, and Morocco in many ways. That was seen by many as a retaliatory option. In that they relaxed their part, their role, so to speak, in protecting or securing and dismantling mafias, bands that are active around that land. And that marks another episode, which then we have in 2022 Pedro Sanchez sending a letter to King Mohammed VI in Morocco saying that possibly a limited autonomy of the Western Sahara under Moroccan control would be the more realistic option. That was an important shift in Spain's position towards the Western Sahara, and one that certainly was read like this by Algeria, who's been historically a big supporter of Western Sahara and the Polisario Front, and then that also happens in a context where Algeria is the main supplier of natural gas in Spain. Ukraine, Russia episode has started, which also means it puts Spain under further pressure. So that's all to say that we. Yeah.
Let me just interrupt you. I do apologize. Very interesting. I love that historical context that you've shared with us. We've got to go for an ad break. And when we come back, let's look at this situation. There are suggestions that this was a deliberate attempt by a third force to create havoc and to create this scenario to also call out Spain on what Western powers are saying on its double standards, that they're holding onto territory that belongs to Africa. They're still holding on to that territory. And this action was almost in defiance to Spain's role in this current situation. So it was also suggested that people were paid to go across. If you notice all of the footage, nobody was carrying luggage or anything. It was just a concerted attempt to probably score political points and create a bit of drama and unrest within Spain's political corridors. So you can respond to that after the ad break. If you don't mind, please do stay with us.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
When you give water, you bring life to drought-affected communities, providing fresh water for drinking, cleaning, and growing. Your support helps Islamic Relief implement water, sanitation, and hygiene projects, providing clean water to communities around the world. Donate now to Islamic Relief.
Connect and stay ahead with Salam Media. This is Salam Media, coming to you live from South Africa.
Welcome back. It's 9:34. I'm talking with Marta Garrich, and she is a feminist organizer and researcher based in Spain. Marta, I'm so sorry. You're going to have to cut this interview very short. I've got my next interview lined up already. So very quickly, can you just give us a brief overview? Is this, I refer to foreign sources being involved here to create political unrest in your country, and that is Spain. But currently, is it about Morocco wanting ownership of those two little strips of land that we've been referring to, Ceuta, and there's the other little strip of land? Your thoughts?
So as I was saying earlier, it's and very briefly, it happens in a context that I think it's worth. It's very much part of the picture, and certainly because how it's being used and will be used. All I can tell you is that, and from the Spanish side, and where in the Spanish political official political position is one that there's been traffickers that exploited the court's decision, about these summary returns, hot returns that I was speaking about before, to convince thousands of potential migrants, because it's mostly Moroccan young men. There was an increased influx already over the past weeks that then becomes massive, in the 30th and 31st of July. And there is certainly, what it also can be confirmed, it's certainly at the beginning, a lax attitude from Moroccan border authorities to pay attention and control that influx. It also happens in the backdrop of strengthening, and as you said, the Abraham Accords, of coming closer, and then also in the political background of an European Union that is turning towards militarization, and it's resenting Pedro Sanchez and Spain's position as when it comes to NATO, or to its position, in terms of the current geopolitical context, and one whereby also even the internal politics of Spain. We are a year away. In 2027, we have our national presidential elections as well. And it's something that is also being used by our right and extreme right in Spain to both condemn Pedro Sanchez what they see as lax policies in terms of migration and not strong border control. And generally, it's putting back, just as we saw Trump do in its tweets. It's also trying. They're all elements in the picture are trying to put migration and border protection very much center of the upcoming elections and general.
Thank you indeed. I could sit here all day talking to you. It's been in a long time that I've had a European researcher talking to us about European politics, particularly Spanish politics. Very interesting indeed. Sorry that we've run out of time, but hopefully we'll have a lengthier discussion in the future. God bless and go well.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Julie. Have a lovely day.
9:38 exactly, News and Views moving along. Our next guest is Dr. Oscar van Geerden. We are going to be talking about, once again, the on and off ceasefire deal between the US and Iran.